Okay, so we're going to work on making a bookmark. We will need some clean, dry horsehair, preferably tail hairs. With most of the items, your tail is the easiest to work with. So if you get your tail hair, grab what you need. So in your bookmark kit, you've got a cord end, which is one of these pieces. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to grab enough hair that once you tie it off with your cotton thread will fit into this tube or this hole. I've got a peg because it's just a little bit easier to hold the end in place and put that down. So I roughly sort of work out, how much hair I might need and separate it from the main bundle. Then what you can do is just give it a quick little twist to get it nice and tight together like that. Hold it up against your cord end. So in this case, when I've twisted it together, I can see just a little bit of space either side. So based on that, that would be enough for our bookmark end. If you twisted it tight and it was larger than the hole, just take some of the hair out and check it again. If you haven't got enough, then you can add a bit more to it, and again check it for yourself. So put the other horsehair aside that we're not going to need. So we'll work our way to the end before we've got loose bits. We take our cotton thread, tie it around a few times around the hair. Put a little knot in it. Cut the string off. And take your super glue. Apply a little bit of super glue to the thread and some of the horsehair beyond, which we're going to cut off, which we won't be needing. There we go. So we can now let that dry before we cut it, or you can use your scissors to cut, or a sharp knife. I tend to work with a Stanley knife, but these can be very dangerous, obviously. And if you've seen my Facebook post, you will see what happened to me recently when I actually had a slight accident and sliced my leg open with it. So, taking our knife or our scissors, we cut. Actually, I might take it the other way. If I hold the bits that I want to cut off, then cut just beyond the cotton thread. So this is where we've got the cotton thread tied off, holding our horsehair. Cut off just beyond. So that's our leftover hair that we don't need. This is the hair we will need. Okay, so once we've cut the extra bit off, take the super glue, put some into the end bit there where it's all been cut, just to hold it together a bit more. Go back around the edges, add a bit more super glue. Grab your cord end and insert in. You might have to give it a little push. And then straighten it up so that it will be straight where you want it to be. There we go. And then you can just put it aside and let it dry whilst you assemble the remainder of the bookmark. Okay, so now we can start assembling our bookmark. These silver rings, they're called your jump rings, and that's what you'll use to attach your beads, charms and your horsehair to. They're fairly soft, the ones that I've put in the kit, so you can actually prise them open with your fingers, like so. Choose the bead that you want to put on. slide that on, and then pop it through the hole of the bookmark using your fingers, and then squeeze it back shut again. Squeeze it together so it closes up. I do use pliers for most of my work, and of course I do also use stronger jump rings. That's one bead there. Then we can take our horsehair that we had, take another one of the jump rings, open it up, thread the horsehair on. I'm going to put the horseshoe on as well, and pop those two through the hole, and close that up. There we go. So we've got our charms, we've got our beads on there as well. All we're left to do now is determine how long we want the horsehair to be, and then cut it off. So you can just grab it. I'm going to make it a little bit longer than the actual bookmark in this case. Hold it relatively where you want it to end. Take your scissors, cut it off. Now if your horsehair happens to curl up like it has done just here now, what you can do is, if you've got a hair straightener, you can use a hair straightener just to run through it to straighten it out. You could do it with an iron set on a lower heat and iron over it, or and you have to be a little bit more careful, is if you're boiling a kettle for a coffee or a cup of tea, open the lid up and have the steam coming out of it and hold it in the steam, and you give it a little twirl while it's in the steam, and then take it off, and as it cools down you can let it go and it will come out fairly straight as well. But a hair straightener is usually the easiest way of doing it. Anyway, that's your bookmark done if you are just doing a tassel. If you want to do a braid or a bead, we'll do that in the next step. Okay, so there's a couple of ways of doing your braided and beaded hair, horsehair bookmark. You can take your horsehair before you start braiding, hold it all together, or you can use a bit of string to tie it off to hold it whilst you bead your horsehair, while you put your bead onto your horsehair, like so. Oh. There we go. Now you will need to sort of hold the end while you braid. I've got a little clip that I use for most of my braids to hold. Choose which braid you would like to do. I commonly just do a 4-strand braid. I will put up a little YouTube on how those braids are made, if you want to follow those instructions. So just to demonstrate this one quickly. I'll just quickly do a braid. I might go maybe, I think I might go about 2/3 of the way down with a braid for this. Okay. So roughly about there. So I'll go a little bit further than where I want the braid to finish. I will take my super glue And just do a little dab where I'm going to put the cotton thread. About there. Take the cotton thread that we're going to use, finally at the end. There we go. Okay, and then just tie it off where we had the glue. Wrap it around several times. Tie it off with a knot. You may need somebody else to help you with the knots. Okay, once the super glue is there, it tends to hold things in place. There we go. Slide our bead to where it's going to go. Make sure that it's going to sit on there relatively well. In this case, it's still a bit loose. So now work that hair off together a bit. Put a bit more super glue just on the lower side on this end here. Take the extra thread, wrap it around a couple more times under it to hold the horsehair together and bring it back. Slide the bead back down, and go, it still fits on. Excellent. Cut off some of the excess cotton. Carefully add more glue onto the cotton there. And without getting our fingers stuck to it, you can slide your bead down, push it over the cotton thread into place. There we go. And that's your braid for the bookmark done. You can tidy up the end of the hair if you want. You can cut it a bit shorter. Okay, then with your bookmark, you take your jump ring with your fingers. You can just pry it open, loosen it up, loop that through your bookmark there, push it back closed, and have your bookmark with your braid finished. All done.